From the Popcorn Talk Network, the #1 online broadcast network for movie talk, this is BollyWHAT? The show where we break down all you need to know about Bollywood and its movies.
Hey everyone, it's your host Kanika Lal for the Popcorn Talk's newest show, BollyWHAT. You can follow me on Twitter at Kanika Lal. And today we have a very, very special segment as I am in conversation with the director and writer Raj Amit Kumar of the latest film Unfreedom, which has been stirring quite the controversy in India. But before we delve into that though, make sure to check out Popcorn Talk on YouTube, on iTunes, and on SoundCloud. And to join the conversation, to continue the conversation, make sure to use the hashtag Popcorn Talk, hashtag BollyWHAT, and hashtag Unfreedom. Thank you so much, Amit. I'll call you Amit, for joining today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And what a film that you made. I mean, I saw it last night, and it was powerful. It was very, very bold. It had me on edge. There was not one scene where you weren't... I mean, it wasn't a light movie. You exposed the very brutal truth. But before we go into that, do you mind just telling the viewers and the listeners a little bit of a brief synopsis of the film so they get the understanding of it?
Unfreedom has two stories in it. One takes place in New York, where there is a fundamentalist Muslim has come to kidnap and kill a liberal Muslim scholar. So what happens between them is the story that takes place in New York. In New Delhi, there is a lesbian who is about to get married, and she runs away with her lover. And she's being chased by her cop father. So what happens between them is the story takes place in New Delhi. So these two parallel stories, through them I try to deal with questions of religious intolerance, sexual unfreedom, and violence in our society.
And I know that this is a Bollywood panel, supposedly, but this film is not Bollywood now. But I think it's important to be more aware that there are a lot of films in South Asia that go beyond Bollywood. I mean, there's films that are made in South India. There are films like yours that are more independent. Yet, I did see in the opening credits, though, that you thanked, that the film thanked Yash Raj Films for kind of, what was the connection there? Which is a Bollywood production house, by the way, Yash Raj Films.
How do you define Bollywood? Let's get into that.
This is a whole new topic now.
Yeah, let me try to understand.
For me, Bollywood is the industry that was made, predominantly are films made in Mumbai, and they're different because they have a little bit more of an escapism to them, and they center more on familial dynamics, music and dancing. They stray away from getting too much. I mean, you continue for me. I don't know. That's how I define Bollywood. Don't make me get started on that.
That's not a bad definition. But the term Bollywood is obviously sort of, it's a borrowed term, and many filmmakers in India take offense of that, and rightly so. Indian popular cinema is maybe a better way of putting it. I mean, so now because it's Hollywood as sort of the predominant industry in the world, so everything starts to get defined by Tollywood and Nollywood and then Bollywood and all that. So anyways, you're right in terms of it's a certain genre, definitely. It's a certain genre which has certain aesthetic principles that most films follow in terms of, like you mentioned, song and dance and familial relationships and boy meets girl and
it wasn't all like that though. There were a lot of films that were like your film,
but there are
that expose social reforms.
There are. I mean, there are. In Indian popular cinema, there is all kind of films that come out of the industry. So what was your question?
My question was the Yash Raj Films. You think that in the beginning, so I kind of want to see that similar connection.
They allowed us to use very generously. They allowed us to use a clip in the film that you see.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So
okay.
Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge.
And now, did you get some sort of reactions though from Bollywood stars? I believe maybe Amir Khan. Did he say anything about the film because he's an activist himself? Or
not yet. I think maybe it's not on his radar yet.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but
hopefully soon.
Yeah, but recently about I don't know what he would have to say about the censorship issue. But recently, there was a AIB roast thing that happened in India. I think everybody's aware of it, and the popular commentary was that we should not offend people.
Right.
that came from Amir Khan. But I mean, there is, in my mind, there is no freedom of speech if we cannot offend people. What is freedom of speech if it's not absolute? So I don't know what his take on the film would be, but censorship is wrong. There should not be any censorship. And I think India is progressive enough to tell the moral authorities in India that these are the kind of things that we would not accept. But it doesn't seem like that there is a unified voice. There is a unified fight in the country at this point of time to tell censor board and censor authorities to go to hell.
Right.
Not yet.
It's just so ironic because I feel that India is progressing in terms of the way the younger generation is kind of rising up. They're accepting the change. I mean, more people are coming out, to their parents. Yet the censor board is just still so backwards thinking. I mean, why can't they see that change is happening and it's the 21st century? Why are they still so resistant on their ways?
Because that's their job. Their job is to be resistant. Their job is to control. Their job is to keep the agenda of public discourse within a certain agenda that fits with their politics and their moral ideology. So to expect that somehow Indian censor board is going to sort of enlighten itself is something we should not even look at. What we should look at, that there is an institution that just should not exist at all. There is an institution that need to be thrown in garbage. That's what we need to say, because if the job of the institution is to control, is to censor, then how are you going to expect them not to do that but anything else?
Right, you're right.
Their job should only be to certify and move on. Their job is to tell the country that this film belongs to, let's say, this category. I mean, they can even say that, okay, this film is really, really bad. I'm giving it a category that common people should maybe not go watch it. But then let people decide if they wanna go see it or not. But, yeah.
Well, talking about your film, which is it's dealing with that issue right now. Why is the censorship they're not allowing this film to be shown precisely? And in a nutshell, I mean.
I think my analysis of this is, I mean, it's been talked about that the question is sex and violence, but I don't think that's the question. I mean, we see sex and violence in our popular media all the time. Right. And too much of it, excessive. I mean, I don't even think my film has that much sex and violence the way we see in our in Indian popular films, if you want to say so.
I mean, film, in Bollywood, what we hear in the media, which is actually happening.
Yes, all the time. I think the problem is when you mix sex and violence with religion and politics, and when we try to hit something that can strike chord with common people in terms of its truth, that's when it just becomes, something that they cannot digest. And I think that's what the problem is with the film. So
when you were making this film, though, before this even happened, what kind of conversation did you want people, what did you want to stir amongst the people, or maybe change some sort of perception in a big or small way while you were making the film?
I really did not go about my process like that. I never thought that, this is what people should take out of it and this is what I'm going to do.
But you wanted to send a message in some way. Every filmmaker, I think, has some sort of message, whether it's from your past experience or from what you've heard. You want to say something, and you said it. So
you say it. I don't know if you want to send a message. Though, another interesting thing, just on a side note, the censor board in their letter says that the film has no message. So that's the kind of absurdity we are dealing with.
That is absurdity.
Yeah. So anyways, so now, look, I was trying to tell a story that shows a certain truth of the world we live in. And that's where I wanted to stop. And I think in my filmmaking with this film, I have just stopped there. I did not go any further in terms of thinking that, this is what audience will take. I wanted to create an experience of a certain truth of our society. And I did that, and I wanted to leave it at that. And then I just wanted the audience can hopefully question that why so, and why what has been shown to them, the way it has been shown to them, why so. And I was just hoping for that question. I didn't have any other goals in mind.
What were the reactions so far of this film? I mean, I understand that it did have a private screening in Bombay and also Kerala.
Yeah.
What did the people say to it?
It's so interesting. I have faced more resistance in terms of what the film is trying to show from the audience in outside of India. So 2 screenings that happened in India, the IIT students and at IFFK, the youth of this country, our country is completely in love and passionate about what the film is trying to achieve, and they want to engage with those questions. They want to discuss that. They want to have conversations about it. Maybe they want to deal with it in terms of they want to change things around them. Not so much outside. It was look, even in India, I mean, I knew that when I was making this film, it's going to divide the audience. I knew that either people will completely fall in love with it or they'll completely hate it. Right. And after people have seen the film, that has been the story. And I feel good about that. I feel that the film impacts the audience in a way. I mean, and if that's the only job as a filmmaker, I guess we have is to create an experience that sort of really impacts people. So I think some people are hating it and some people are just loving it.
Well, that stirs a debate, that just stirs more awareness for the film. So you're exposing the brutal truth of what has happened and what is still happening that not everyone is aware of. In terms of the actual film, getting the cast together, how was that like? Did you always envision Victor Banerjee and Preeti Gupta, all those cast members, to be working in the film, or did you approach different actors before?
No, Victor, that was not first choice, and I'm glad that I failed.
Yeah, and everything happens for a reason, right?
I got him to do the film. Most actors, they were not like the first people that I went out to meet. I mean, look, even in terms of actors, like the first slightly popular actor, I mean, Victor Da is popular enough, but I approached an actor who had much more sort of, what should I say, selling power to the studios. If I was making.
Are you not allowed to say who it was?
No, I don't want to, because I'm going to tell you what he said. So I took the script to him. He really loved it. He wanted to work on the film, and then he said that the film is quite sexual and violent, and why do you have to do it this way?
Right.
Why can't you do it that way? So I like a good student of cinema, spend like half an hour also trying to talk to him about stand breakage and experimental cinema, and let's open our eyes to cinema in a different way and all that, but I didn't succeed.
Interesting.
And he didn't want to do it any other way. So, and when Victor Da read the script, he just made a phone call. So I'm on it. When do you want to do it? Right. So completely different reactions, right? Same like your audience and same like different kind of filmmakers and all that. So no, it was an interesting experience casting the film. Victor Da, Adil Hussain did an amazing job. Great professional actors.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
They really did a good
Bhanu
job.
was, it was a great find, and especially the actresses. It was so tough to look when you go to Bombay and you tell actresses that this is what the film is, and it has nudity and all that, and you'll find a lot of actresses who are ready to go naked on camera. You'll also find but they don't know how to act, right? You'll also find lots of good actresses who just don't want to go that direction because Indian films work a certain way, and it means something for their career. It needs a special courage in an actor, and a belief also in the director and the kind of film it is to go that far. And hats off to both of them that that they went that far, and I was able to find them. It was a long. I mean, it's like we did auditions over a period of 2 years, and
really,
and 3 times, and failed and never found an actress, and it was not easy.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what they had to portray, what they had to kind of go through in the film, I mean, it would take someone that long to do it right. So, well, hats off to them. They did an amazing job. They did a spectacular job. Did any of the cast members or anyone just outside, maybe in your family, maybe amongst your friends, were they like, Amit, this isn't going to be shown in India. What are you doing? Did any of that discussion come about while you were making it that this could be censored? Or did you not even think about that? You just wanted to make this film? And
well, my family didn't even know that I was making a movie.
Oh,
but
well, hello, Amit's family. Now you know.
Yeah, they recently found out.
Oh my gosh.
But look, in terms of what are we doing, and this will have problem every step of the way. Everybody, including the actors, and everybody was, and part of the reason they also wanted to do it because of that, because they said we need to push the boundaries here. So yeah, I faced that all along. Regarding did I think that it will be censored? I knew the way I was making it will have challenges. I knew censor board is just not going to have a go ahead. Yeah. But I knew they were going to come up with certain cuts and we'll have problem. And I look at what that is. And first of all, I'm not one of those filmmakers. I mean, we need to have complete freedom of expression. What is this thing? I mean, censor board's not making a film for us, are they? I mean, we are filmmakers. We make films, so that's how it should be. But I really never thought that we really have gone that regressive and that backwards. That they will outrightly ban the film, and not because of nudity. Not because of the sexual expression, but because of the ideas that are expressed in the film. So it's one thing. It's one thing when it's just about nudity, and you fight with that in a different way, and you. But it's completely another thing when there's just these important ideas, questions, the reality of India that needs to be expressed, and you just want to ban it. It's just wrong.
I mean, also the latest documentary that BBC made, India's Daughter, that was also banned because...
Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenon. That's what I'm saying. It's just not a problem with Unfreedom the movie. It's Unfreedom the movement. It is
the movement. You're right.
Yes, it is. We are facing more and more filmmakers are facing it. More and more writers are facing it, and it's just also not in India. I mean, we see this phenomenon around the world. This is a streak of fundamentalist world that we are becoming. On the other hand, we are saying we are becoming a very liberal world, but that's kind of not true. It's a marriage of autocratic capitalism that is happening with fundamentalism, and I think that's what we're looking at.
But here's the irony: your film, everyone's going to see your film. With the advancement of technology and internet,
I hope so.
Everyone's eyes are going to be on that
that's
film
why I'm here to promote.
I mean,
right?
You're here to promote, and you're getting everyone to sign a petition to bring to Modi, the Prime Minister of India, correct?
Right.
And you're trying to crowdfund money so that certain people can see it in India. And it's going to be released digitally.
Well, let's speak about that. You need to tell your audience. So
sorry, I'm giving you all the options. Now we're going to go break them down.
We need to go. Your audience need to go on freedommovie.com.
Yes.
They'll find on homepage there is a petition where they can click. It will take them to the petition. They can sign the petition. So we want as many signatures for that petition as possible. And this is just not for India. Everybody around the world who believes in freedom of expression should sign this petition. So that's one thing. The second is, yes, you can go on the website and you can contribute towards taking the film in India. Because now, as they have banned it, we cannot have a public screening where we charge for the film. We cannot do that. But we can do private screenings, private invite-only screenings where we do not charge for admission. And so that can only happen with help and support of everybody. So we're starting that in Bombay, and we're going to keep going to different cities as much support we get. And we already had,
do you have the exact figures?
Two screenings that we did it was amazing response. So I definitely think people want to watch it.
Completely.
So, yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, we have to keep urging the audience to do that. You said freedom.com, right?
Unfreedommovie.com.
Unfreedommovie.com, where you can sign the petition.
Yes.
Great. And also, I just kind of want to talk about the process of you trying to get it passed by the censorship board. You tried to approach 3 committees, and I believe one said it could be shown unless you have a lot of cuts to your movie. Right. And the other 2 just completely said no.
Right. No, so people need to understand the process of censorship in India. So there is a censor board.
I need to understand too. So
yeah. So there's a first committee in the censor board that sees the film. so their recommendation was, we cannot certify this film.
Right.
Then you are allowed to go to a revising committee.
Right.
So a revising committee saw the film, and then they gave me a list of cuts, a very absurd cuts. I don't want to announce those cuts right now because people still have to see the film.
Oh yeah.
But they were as absurd cuts that I would not be left with any expression in terms of what I'm making.
Right.
So I did not accept those, and then there is a tribunal that you go to after that. It's called FCAT, which falls under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in India.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they saw the film, and because that is a government body, and because we understand the kind of government we're dealing with at this point of time in terms of its fundamentalists and certain moral ethics and whatnot, they overruled the revising committee decision and said, we will uphold the examining committee decision that this film cannot be certified, because if this film is certified, Hindus and Muslims will kill each other, it will ignite unnatural passions, this film has no message and whatnot. So they refused certification, and so now we're going to High Court.
Right.
And if we don't get a good decision from High Court, we go to Supreme Court.
Okay. And
then don't know what, but we need to keep this fight on, because also through your audience, I want to tell everybody that we need to understand that in actuality, the way Censor Board is operating, it's operating unconstitutionally. It's operating in ways illegally.
Right.
The act, the way it defines that you cannot curtail the freedom of speech, they are operating against it. They're using guidelines which goes against the freedom of speech, the way it is written in our own constitution.
Right.
So everybody needs to be aware of it and sort of speak against it.
Do you have? How are you continuing with this? What are you telling yourself each day when you wake up? I mean, do you have hope? Do you have positivity? Do you think that things will change? I mean, because this is going beyond your film. Like you said, this is a bigger issue. It's a bigger issue of freedom of speech and your rights in India as an individual.
Yeah. I guess you better just live in here and now. And you in that here and now, you see what is in front of you, and you see what is the right thing to do, and you see what is the important fight to fight, and you just go with it. You just cannot be pessimistic about if this would turn out the wrong way. What you feel is that this is the right thing to do right now.
Right.
And I think that's what keeps you going.
Completely. I actually kind of wanted to just go back to the film a little bit about the symbolism, because that's the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, because that was just really interesting. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, but there were just certain like, for example, you had a scene of like a British soldier, which was interesting. And then I think my favorite symbolism was when you used the movie DDLJ, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, just because, at least in my eyes, it showed that things are not a happy ending. There's not a Bollywood happy ending to all these films, just the way Bollywood makes it. Right. But this girl, the character Leela, she had hope. She had optimism that maybe she didn't have hope.
Right.
But the fact that she watched that movie and she had Shah Rukh Khan as her background, what was a bigger meaning behind that?
It was just not take on Bollywood in terms of that. It was just not question of hope and how every popular film has a happy ending. Has a happy ending. But it was also about sort of the comparison of heterosexuality and homosexuality. So it's always a father giving away his daughter in a heterosexual marriage that's also the kind of Indian popular cinema creates that kind of a norm, normative, and what becomes natural is always naturalized in society. So there was definitely a statement on that over there. And then also relationship in the same way, there was a certain relationship with patriarchy that was being set. Relationship with DDLJ and how it is in the film.
Yes.
It's the same way like Simran in DDLJ is the expectations of Leela with her father and belief in the father, and she's a God-fearing, God-loving girl, and so all those sort of relationships were there, but she happened to be a I didn't say happen to be a lesbian, but she's a lesbian.
She is a lesbian, yeah.
She's a lesbian. And
it makes it even harder for the father to accept during that time in India. But you mentioned the patriarchal aspect, and I actually questioned myself during the movie. I go, where is Leela's mother? Why does she have no say in any of this decision making? It's because she can't have a say. Is that correct? Did you want to do mostly the father influence? Because you used it also in the other story with the Muslim scholar. That was also like Hussein's past. He was, the reason he acted the way he acted was because of his father. So was there like a meaning behind using the father as a symbol of powerful against powerless, or? Right.
No, I mean, there is definitely a study of patriarchy, fathers in the film, in both sides of the story. Right. And like you mentioned about Leela's mother, patriarchy operates with women's will in a certain way. Patriarchy is not something that's just enforced only through men. It's enforced only with women's consent as well. As much as so that's definitely a statement there. And yes, the father-son relationship and father-son or father-daughter relationship. So that relationship between generations is definitely crucial to the structure of narrative on both sides of the story, and also sort of the continuation of the cycle with that was crucial.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Now, kind of what? I literally just like lost track of what I was going to say, actually.
I can go back, keep talking about father if that's the case.
No, the inspiration behind the film, it was based on a poem as well, right?
Yes.
But I'm sure it was also based on your witness and your experience too, just growing up in...
Right. The kind of poems also read is something that speaks to us, isn't it? Well, Faiz Ahmad Faiz is an amazing, famous writer and poet, and very political poet, and so his poem Ye Daag Daag Ujala Ye Shab Gazida Seher was definitely an inspiration, and he was writing that poem at the eve of Indian independence, when we are, on one hand we are getting free, other hand Hindus and Muslims are killing each other.
Right.
So, and the transliteration of the poem is also Dawn of Unfreedom.
Okay.
Now, yes, growing up I have seen religious violence in India, very brutal, firsthand. I've had homosexual friends in India who have faced brutal violence, rape, and so obviously I've taken things from my personal experience and what I have seen in life, and what my understanding of the world is, and what my understanding of life is. Yes.
What's next? What's next now for the film and for you as well?
The next is May 29th. Everybody should see the film, and as many people should see the film and love the film, and make sure that we can take this film everywhere in India. We should take this film around the world. So that's next. I mean, the mission stays with the film still. The end mission stays with fight against censorship. So that is still very, very, very important.
But you're also coming out with a couple of new films. Are you in the process of making? Or?
Yes. No, I'm in the process of sort of finishing my script. And Black Boots is a story which is of first Black Marines who went to World War II.
Oh wow.
They went to segregated boot camps. Their stories was never told. You've heard of Tuskegee Airmen, Buffalo Soldiers, but
it never was told.
Never. 2012, they received a Congressional Gold Medal. So the first time, sort of the story, became more known to people in America. So it's a story of courage, racism, and unfreedom. And so that's one. And the second one I'm finishing is Ayodhya. So if that means anything, I don't know. Do you know what Ayodhya would mean for you? I mean, it's just like 1992. How old are you?
23, turning 24 soon.
I shouldn't ask that one.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm legal, so it's okay in many different ways.
So 92, you must be like a little kid.
Yeah.
A 92 Babri Mosque was demolished in Ayodhya. Ayodhya is the city. And this was the wave of Hindu fundamentalism in India that really caught fire for the very first time. Before that, India was more and more of a secular country, which, I mean, in minds of common people, but still are very secular people. But that's when the polity shifted in the country, and sort of we got into this wave of Hindu fundamentalism in India. So Ayodhya is going to be a Shakespearean drama.
Oh, wow.
Set in the contemporary politics of 1992 Ayodhya.
That is very exciting. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But kind of one last question though before we wrap up, because do you believe, I don't want to bring up a religion topic because I will just start too much controversy on this Popcorn Talk network. But in your opinion though, I mean, is Hinduism a religion? It's more with spirituality, don't you think? I mean, you're mentioning, Hindu fundamental, I can't even say the word, fundamentalism, but to me, I just have always felt that the people of India have a more peaceful nature to them, and then they don't use religion. Like you said, I mean, it used to be secular, but I feel like it's still kind of the case where they don't have religion or anything dominate their decisions and their thinking.
I'm glad there are people like you. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that, and I wish there are more and more of just like that.
I thought there were. It's like, well, I'm so naive sometimes.
Yes. Not really. Yeah.
Well, I will continue to not use any religion or anything to dominate me. It's just my spirituality.
We need to have...
There's some people here who use yoga and meditation as their religion. So
we need to have pop talks about fundamentalism. That's what we should do. We should have pop talks about ISIS.
Oh God, yeah.
We should have pop talks about...
Honestly...
No, why not? I mean, are we scared of that?
We shouldn't be scared because as a younger generation, I'm speaking to myself, we need to be aware of everything that's happening, not only in America, but outside of America, because it might hit us later, sooner or later. Right. That's all I have to say to that.
And unless we continue talking and fighting against it, this when they want to stop you by killing 2 here, 4 there, and you stop, that's when you give in, and that's when you give them power and you give them force. So that shouldn't happen.
That's very true. That's very true. Amit, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to say that I didn't mention that you want to just tell the people? Or
I didn't come with any agenda. I think you have asked all the right questions.
No, not an agenda. Just like a last...
What I'm
going to tell for him to see the film, to get part of the involved in the movement, and definitely check out unfreedommovie.com.
I think so.
And just learn more about it,
Let me see. My social media team always asks me that I always screw up with this. So there is a Facebook page.
Okay.
So there's a Facebook Unfreedom Movie.
Okay.
We should go there. There's a Twitter page.
Okay, great.
Unfreedom Movie. People should go there. And once again, unfreedommovie.com. Sign the petition, and it's opening. It's opening on all the VOD platforms. So 29th May, you can decide the fate of this movie.
Interesting. We'll wait until then. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Popcorn Talks Bollywood. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. You learned a little bit more about the Unfreedom movie movement. I'm your host, Kanika Lal. You can follow me on Twitter at Kanika Lal and on Instagram at You Can Have It Lal. And where can they follow you, Amit? On Twitter or Instagram?
How can you follow me?
Yeah, you have a Twitter account. I followed you today. So.
Oh, you did? Okay. Thank you. I'll follow you back.
Thanks. So what is it? Tell the people.
What? Oh, it must be Raj Amit Kumar. I don't.
It must be Raj Amit Kumar.
I don't follow that. I don't follow my own Twitter account that much.
Okay, follow me and look up my followers. That's Raj Amit Kumar. Thank you guys so much, and see you next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.